this is more of a test than anything. Just to kind of see how this sounds. If it sounds okay, if it sounds too muffled and weird. Because I like the idea of recording in my car these little vignettes of ideas, of thoughts, of basically a vocal journal that will allow me to get my thoughts down and be better at understanding myself while also being able to drive to work. I think this will be a better way than the dictation version that I was doing before, because the dictation's not very good. And when I go back and edit those dictations, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to understand what it was I was saying. So I figure if I have this, then maybe I can just re-listen to this later and either write it out and make blog posts out of these, or I can turn this into like a podcast if this sounds okay. I may have to get a better little microphone if I want to turn it into a podcast. Just because this might not sound very good, and I honestly have no idea how this is going to sound, or even how it's recording. It might be recording through my car. It didn't say. It might be recording through the actual speaker or the mic of the phone. If that's the case, then it's way down by my side and it probably doesn't sound very great. So maybe I can dick around with the settings a little bit and see if I can figure out how I'm recording it. But yeah, I can definitely see this being, thrown up on the YouTube channel, as well as sent out as an actual like podcast. Yet another way to get a connection to people. Because I just finished a dictation on why I want to be a fairy priest and why I want to proletize this tradition. And it really helped me solidify the idea that what I want to do with this and why I even want to do this is that I have a calling to help people connect with themselves, help people obtain the strength and the tools and the knowledge to heal themselves. And for lack of a better phrase, but a phrase that I like nonetheless, a way for people to free themselves from their own personal hell. Because in fairy tradition, there is no hell. Our God extinguished it with his tears. So hell doesn't exist in our tradition. There is only personal hell. There is only that hell that forces you into your own mind, forces you to experience terrors and horrors that you never thought imaginable. Now, obviously, there is the form of hell here on Earth where someone could be, something along the lines of being kidnapped or raped or tortured or murdered or any of those horrific things that humans do to each other. There is, of course, that as well. But it doesn't necessarily mean we can't deal with these things in a way to heal ourselves, because all of those things will force us into our own personal hell, with the exception perhaps of murder, because you're no longer capable of healing yourself at that point if you're dead. But assuming you're still alive, and yes, you go through something horrific, something really, really despicable and tragic within your own life, like rape, like torture, like being held against your will, and even something beyond that, like becoming disabled, like losing a limb, like something that is going to force you to completely re-diagnose who you are and what it means to be you. Those are the things that I think we can heal ourselves with. through things like soul alignment, through things like iron pentacle work, through things like energy work. These are the sorts of things that I want to try and help people heal themselves with. Because that's why I'm here. I'm discovering the importance of doing this magical work for my own personal self, getting myself out of my own personal hell. I didn't have a language for that. Just this morning, I was trying to explain to my wife why doing the Iron Pentacle and running it every day is so vital for my mental well-being. I couldn't quite explain it. And I think that's the best I've got, at least right now, until I figure this out in the future, is that I am able to get myself out of my own personal hell. And that, I think, is beautiful. That, I think, is worth more than anything I've ever experienced. Because I was diagnosed just last year with bipolar 2 disorder and with major depressive disorder. Both of which were trying to trap me inside my head through either depression in the form of sadness or anxiety. And it was forcing me to withdraw from humanity, withdraw from myself, withdraw from the universe and reality itself here on this plane, on this very mundane plane. Because that's what those things do to those of us who suffer from them. And I've always known, for at least a while, I've known, that in order to get out of depression, you have to talk about it with other people. Without talking about it with other people, it traps you inside your head. Being trapped inside of your head, battling your own worst fears constantly, that is my definition of a personal hell. That is my current running definition of a personal hell. I was able to transform and escape that, get myself out of that, by means of talking to people. That's why therapy works. Often. Probably not always, but definitely often. Because it gets us out of our head. So if you need to, go talk to someone. Go talk to even just a friend or a family member who is sympathetic. But it's best to talk to someone who you don't know, because you can really let loose. Because you're not worried about what they're going to say to you. You're not still in your head while you're talking. That's the benefit of being in a therapy session. Is being able to say what you need to say out loud. Get it out of your mind. Without fear of retribution or without fear of being thought of in a bad light. Because therapists don't do that. That's not a thing they think in their minds. They don't think, man, this guy is crazy. They think, man, this guy really needs to say these things. This guy really needs to experience this and get through this. What can I do best for him? The good therapists think that. And if you have none of those other things, at the very least, you have yourself, you have a piece of paper, and you have a pen. As long as you have those things, you can get out of your own head. Write it down in the form of journaling, a form of therapy if you can't afford therapy in its own right. Which many people can't, unfortunately, in this culture. But we still need it. We still need to get these thoughts out of our head. Because that is the poison within us, stopping us from healing. Are those negative thoughts and those modes of thinking that do not make us better. So that seems to be my calling. I'm pretty sure that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Why I'm heading down this path. Not only to heal my own mental, emotional, and physical issues with this path and this tradition, but to give others a different option from the ones the mundane world says is okay. Which so far, as far as I can tell, the mundane world, in at least my culture that I grew up in, is Christianity or atheism and materialism. None of those worked for me. I tried them all, to be honest. Admittedly, I didn't try Christianity very hard, but it never spoke to me. I never resonated with Christianity because it was always someone else connecting to the divine, and I just had to sit there and hope that I experienced something as well. Fairy tradition gives you the tool set to reach out to divinity, to reach out to deity, whatever that means to you, in your own way, in your own form. And actually connect with something greater than yourself. There is no one between me and my goddess, the nameless mother of stars. There is no disconnect in this tradition. I, as a admittedly so far wannabe fairy priest, though I'm attempting to get myself in that tradition, in that form, I am heading, I forgot what I was doing. I'm heading down this path to give others that option. To be their own personal priest, even if they can't call themselves that within the tradition. Which is fine, not everyone's going to be called to that. Because it doesn't matter. Because you don't have to call yourself, you don't have to be a fairy priest. Or a priest of any faith or tradition. You don't have to be initiated into any tradition whatsoever. Whether it be witchcraft, whether it be a more normie tradition, like some form of Catholic, Christianity, Judaism, whatever. You don't have to be any of those things. To acknowledge that you are in your own personal hell. And that to get you out is either to get into a place where you can be receptive to deity. And get into a place where you can do things like run the Iron Pentacle. And really heal yourself. See those spots within you that are in need of work. That are in need of better experience. Because I firmly believe when people go to therapy, they don't go to therapy to become, therapized. It's not a word. is it? They really don't go. They go to have a sounding board. They go because no one in their life is able or capable, or they're not prepared to have someone in their life listen to them. Because I genuinely think I've actually only just now taken the first step into fairy, which is what so many other magical traditions already understand. Know thyself. Once we understand ourselves, we're in a much better place to create magic. Because we'll be healing ourselves. We'll be emerging from our own personal hell. That is vital to me. That is worth so much more than any mundane thing I can think of. It's worth so much more than money. I don't want money. I want to live comfortably. I want to live in the style that I want to live in, which is not very much, to be honest. I don't want possessions. I don't want the fancy cars. I want to emerge from my own personal hell and help others emerge from their own personal hell as well. This I think is my calling. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because other people deserve it. So do I. Thank you for listening. I hope that this recorded okay, because, oh god, the idea of typing everything out that I just said just makes me want to weep. No, I have a new definition of personal hell. Typing this out.